Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of What If Sonic Died. This is a series where we explore how the events of the main games could have changed if it was Sonic the Hedgehog who had fallen and died at the end of Sonic Adventure 2 instead of Shadow. So far we've seen that Metal Sonic, Amy and Shadow have all formed a close-knit bond, but Eggman has been operating nearby and so Shadow and Metal have went off in pursuit to stop his newest scheme. If you've been enjoying this series so far, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video. And if you want to help support me, don't forget to share the video around to those who may be interested. Let's see what the Doctor has been up to. Two spiky figures are blazing across the rolling hills near Emerald Town, specifically Shadow and Metal Sonic, as they make their way towards where Eggman was last detected by Tails' radar. The Doctor's activity originated from this area. Let's hope that all those days of baking cookies hasn't made you soft. Shadow remarks, just as he suddenly clocked across the face. He tumbles off his feet but manages to slide to a halt, whilst Metal Sonic enters a battle stance. That was... Shadow's glare fixates on the artificial chaos before him. That shouldn't be here. He teleports immediately atop its head with Chaos Snap and brings a chop down onto the skull, bursting the contraption in a single hit. He dusts himself off as Metal stands beside him. So the Doctor is experimenting with the Ark. How insulting. Metal, destroy any of these you come across. The old fool should be here somewhere. And they head off to destroy as many artificial chaos as they can find, but they seem to be idling about with no clear objective. Not that it matters for these two as they destroy them piece by piece. Metal Sonic ends up getting encapsulated by a larger blob-formed artificial chaos, but Shadow charges up a spin dash and fires straight towards its head, bursting the robot and setting Metal Sonic free. You hear that? Over there! The two of them crest the ledge, and below see the one and only Dr Eggman. And he's not alone, mid-monologue with one of the other artificial chaos. Ha 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 ha! Yes, it's just as I predicted. With the right frequency, my grandfather's creations will work for me. The gusto is knocked out of the Doctor as a light projectile speeds past him straight into the last remaining artificial chaos as it detonates. Ah, who dares? He turns around to see above him Shadow. Ah, you again? I thought we had an understanding. Why are you getting in my way? Our understanding came to a close the instant you started tampering with the Ark, Doctor. So you found me out, have you? And what's this? Metal? You have some nerve showing your face to your creator after everything you put me through. Deliver yourself to me. Perhaps I'll go easy on your dismantling. Metal Sonic makes no effort to move, observing this Dr. Eggman. Fool. He doesn't obey your orders anymore. You seem to have a knack for that, don't you? Ah! Eggman straightens himself up. Perhaps, but this doesn't have to be a negative. On the contrary, Shadow, you've delivered the perfect test subject for my latest creation. And with the press of a button, a robot appears besides the Doctor. A large machine clearly built for war that hovers against the surface of the ground. E101 Chaos! This will be your first true match. Destroy these pests. Shadow looks to Metal Sonic. This one's for you. And with a nod, Metal Sonic hops down from the ledge to approach E101 Chaos. Without warning, E101 Chaos activates its jet engine thruster, charging straight towards Metal Sonic. In a flash and a sound of twanging metal, he hooks the smaller blue robot beneath one of his large metallic claws, punching it in the torso, knocking it up into the air. It flies up, chasing him with immense speed, clocking him with the other arm, sending him even further up into the sky, and flies for one final third strike that would deliver him to his maker. However, it strikes the black prism of the black shield protecting Metal Sonic, and from within the robot lifts its red eyes to glare at its new adversary, bursting its own shield to cause a stun wave, giving it enough time to unleash a flurry of direct jabs, striking with great speed over and over again with the jabs he observed from Amy Rose, knocking it back into the sky as they both hover in place.
What are you waiting for? Destroy the traitor!
Both robots charge at one another in the sky once again, looking like they're going to go onto a head-to-head collision. But instead, E101 generates a rainbow field around its body, and it uses it as a reflective bat, sending Metal Sonic plummeting straight into the ground and burying into the earth. Before he even has a chance to emerge, E101 points its two arms down and starts firing orbs of explosives that detonate into large clouds of fire. However, Metal Sonic responds quickly, using what he learned from Shadow's evasion course on Chaos Spears, weaving between the explosions and sticking out of their radius just enough to give him enough time to react to the next incoming shot. Speeding beneath the Eggman robot, he then propels himself straight up, uppercutting E101 from underneath, sending it spiraling out of control. Metal goes to drop kick the robot, but it responds, moving so fast after images are left behind it as it arrives behind Metal Sonic, grabbing his leg and throwing him towards the ground. Metal Sonic in turn uses his own metallic strength to cling on to this arm and instead try and throw E101 to the ground. They end up grappling one another and spiraling in a ball of uncontrolled force, fire from their engines spewing all over, and they almost collide into Eggman with their crash course flying. Whoa! Instead crashing into a palm tree, pinging both of them off in separate directions and ending their little grapple. Metal Sonic glances back at the ledge to see Shadow watching idly and returns his focus to the task ahead, charging straight towards E101 once again, but this time he coats himself in his black shield whilst E101 returns to that rainbow reflector. They collide, smashing the energy fields upon each other, causing sparks of purple flame to emit from the contact point, but unfortunately for Metal Sonic, whilst he's immune, he can still be buffeted around, and he's launched once again into the earth. But this time, E101 follows straight after him and puts its claw hand right above the hole in the ground that Metal currently rests within, charging a point-blank shot from its explosive cannon and firing. Metal Sonic is not so easily done though, and thanks to his speed, he manages to get around behind E101, wagging his finger before delivering a powerful flurry of blows to the back of the robot. Aha! Seeing an opening, Dr. Eggman fires a missile from his Egg Walker, and it strikes Metal Sonic in the back. Shadow glares at the Doctor.
Oh, what? You thought I was just going to stand by and watch?
In that case, it looks like I'm joining in. Shadow immediately teleports onto the cockpit of Eggman's machine and starts slapping him side to side with his fist.
Help me!
Hearing the cry of his master, E101 hooks Metal Sonic with one of its claws and rams him against the earth as it boosts towards Dr. Eggman, using its free hand to also swipe Shadow off the machine, leaving the Doctor slightly bruised and beaten. But E101 then shoves both of the Hedgehogs into the earth beneath its own grip as it charges point-blank cannons from both arms.
You're done for now.
Shadow grunts under the pressure.
Follow my lead.
And he starts charging a spin dash. Metal Sonic replicates the motion, spinning beneath the claws of E101. And when it opens its cannons to start firing the charge shot, they instead barrel through, up the arms, splitting them in half and blowing them up, with the body of E101 landing limply behind them. Shadow and Metal land and look straight towards Dr. Eggman.
Ah! You'll regret this.
And he taps a button quickly on his wrist, an emergency teleporter that beams him away just as Metal Sonic and Shadow destroy his Egg Walker. Shadow observes the destruction left in their wake.
Who knows what he was planning to do, but we put a stop to it for now.
The torso of E101 twitches behind them, and without looking, Shadow quickly throws a Chaos Spear to finish it off. He looks to Metal.
You've proven yourself a worthy combatant, Metal.
Well done. It seems it was good to give you another chance after all. Metal Sonic rubs his nose.
Don't get too cocky. Those were the easy ones.
Let's get back to Tails' workshop to report on what we found. And the two of them head back to where they came from. All the while, Dr. Eggman finds himself in deep thought within the Ark's central control room.
That Shadow is becoming quite a nuisance. I would have preferred if I could have just avoided his path for the time being. But now that he's caught on to my plans with the Ark, I have no other choice but to eliminate him now. Then again, he did do me the service of providing knowledge of Metal's whereabouts. And not only that, but he's pacified the traitor too. This would make acquiring and reprogramming him fairly easy. I just need to separate them. In a flash, he turns towards one of his idle servants. You! I have a new task. You will collect my traitorous Metal Sonic and return him to me. One piece is preferable, but so long as he can be rebuilt, the damage doesn't matter. Is this understood? Aye, aye, sir.
Meanwhile, back in Central City, Amy's been on the hunt for a criminal. A minor one, but a ruffian nonetheless. Someone with a reputation for harassing members of the community and even resorting to violence at times. And yet, the police force has either been unable or unwilling to properly detain them. Amy, however, was far more successful, tracking him down and trapping him within an alleyway where she had negotiated a surrender with the hard end of her hammer, where he now finds himself tied up, slumped against the wall with some form of concussion. She throws a bin over his head and slaps a sticky note on it labeling him as a criminal as she dusts off her hands. And that's that. Maybe next time you'll think twice before you take advantage of others. I'm sure the police will be able to clean you up off the street when you're like this. Speaking of which, I should probably make myself scarce. And she leaves the scene, but does not return to her apartment, for her day of vigilantism is far from over. Instead, she heads down towards a certain area of downtown into the detective's agency, within which the Chaotix are hard at work with a busy schedule of jobs to file through and disgruntled customers. Charmy's been tasked with scribbling their insignia onto as many letters of confirmation as they can, but he's got carried away with just drawing different stylized bees all over them. SBO, on the other hand, has been filing away their jobs into completed, failed, and ongoing. Meanwhile, Vector has just finished a complicated phone call with a disgruntled client as he hangs up on the line.
Ah, never a break. Before we didn't get enough jobs, and now we have too much. Perhaps, but it is nothing we cannot overcome, and at least the bills will be paid now. They'll be paid if we come through on our side of the deals, SBO. Some of these are really specific, and we thought hermit crabs were bad. Charmy, have you finished over there?
Yeah, take a look.
I didn't... You're not supposed to be drawing, Charmy. This is business. Now we gotta start over.
They hear a knock at the door.
This is the detective agency. How can I...
And it slams open with Amy standing there.
Help. Oh boy.
Amy stomps up to the desk and slams her hands upon it. Hello, Vector. Please tell me you've managed to track down the criminal that's been stealing from all the museums.
Sorry, miss. We've been rather backed up lately, and...
Amy slams the desk again. Come on! I trusted you guys! People are in fear for their possessions. I'm trying to do something about that, and you said you'd help me do it. You're supposed to be detectives, aren't you? How have you not found out the answer to this? It might be a big city, but surely there's some trail being left behind here. SBO, Vector, and Charmy all share concerned glances between each other.
Look, Amy, this isn't as simple as we would like it to be for us either.
How do you mean? Vector reaches under the desk and brings out a piece of paper.
One of our job requests have come in from the police force. Unfortunately, it's relating to you.
And he places down a note with Amy's picture plastered on it in black and white, requesting to be apprehended and seized if located. Amy's eyes widen in surprise as Vector continues.
Due to your public perception being quite positive, we've managed to ignore this job posting for now, and a lot of the police force don't really want to get involved with you either. But you are still working outside of the law, Miss Rose.
And he leans in a little.
If you keep pushing them, there won't be anything any of us could do to help you against the law.
Amy crosses her arms. Really? And I thought you were people that have morals over substance. SBO looks at Vector in the eye and gives him a nod. Vector sighs again.
Look, Amy, why don't you, and he gets up, come into my office. I've got some things I need to tell you.
What's this about?
Please, and he gestures to a chair. Sit down. You're probably going to need a rest after hearing this.
What is it you know, Vector?
We do actually have a theory on the missing items that have been disappearing as of late, and that it would be Sonic the Hedgehog.
What? What sort of cruel joke is this, Vector? You know as much as I do.
Actually, miss, we know a little bit more than you do. We've encountered what could be Sonic the Hedgehog back during that incident with the Metal Sonic.
Well, it must have been a trick then, or something that Eggman or the Metal Sonic would have...
I wish the solution was so simple, but we've already investigated it, and it was certainly convincing enough that Sonic was back.
And you didn't tell me? None of you told me? Amy's face is a mixture of emotions washing over and changing with rapid fluidity, but the constant is the water beading up in the corner of her eyes.
We didn't mean anything by it, miss. We were trying to protect his identity. Sonic has lost his memory and he's being led down a different path.
Amy holds her head in her hands. Vector looks past her at SBO in the main room and nods for him to close the door.
I'll tell you everything I know, miss.
And the door closes. Back at Tails' lab, the Fox, Shadow, and Metal Sonic have all been musing over the information they gathered on Dr. Eggman with their encounter earlier in the day. Tails theorized that perhaps Eggman's trying to develop new machines based on Professor Gerald's research. Ultimately though, Shadow doesn't care too much about the specifics. The main thing is that it's clear Dr. Eggman has something planned and he needs to put an end to it.
I would hope even he wouldn't be so foolish, but just in case, I'm gonna go and try and locate some of the Chaos Emeralds. That way he won't be able to use the Eclipse Cannon to its full potential, if that is indeed what he has in store.
It's a great idea, Shadow. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to locate any of them in between all my work.
That's fine. I can cover a lot of ground on my own anyway.
He looks to Metal Sonic.
Stick with Tails. He should be able to come up with something for you to do.
Metal Sonic nods, and then Shadow teleports out of the room. Ha! Just me and you now, huh? It's kind of strange, at least from my perspective. But I'm glad that we're able to meet peacefully now. There's actually a list of things I could use your help with if you don't mind. Tails begins, but before he can finish his explanation, there's a knock at his door. Oh, coming! He runs up to the door and speaks the password, allowing the rectangular segments to slip away into the ceiling and floor, opening his high-tech device. And standing outside his home are two rabbits. Hello, Mr. Tails. Cream the rabbit gives a formal bow to Tails as her mother speaks up. Thank you again for looking after my dear Tails. I'm sorry, but on such short notice. Oh, yes, Vanilla, it's no problem at all. Of course, yes. Come in, please. Oh, I can't stay, I'm afraid. But Cream will be on her top behaviour, won't you? Yes, Mother. Right then, I'll see you all later. Bye, Miss Vanilla. And the taller rabbit walks away as Tails brings Cream inside. Oh, wow. You must be really busy in here, Tails. Yeah. You know me, always working on something. She points at the blue robot. What's that? Ah, this is Metal Sonic. Cream's eyes jump up for a minute. You mean the bad guy? It's a long story. Metal Sonic's actually my friend now. And he's perfectly harmless too. Metal Sonic observes Cream the rabbit for the first time, moving in gentler motions than perhaps he might have once. Oh, okay. She hops up in front of him, looking up with her big puppy eyes as she then bows in front of Metal Sonic. Nice to meet you, Mr. Metal. Unsure how to respond, Metal Sonic just gives a thumbs up. Cream smiles back as Tails then approaches them. Yeah, so about those things I could use your help with, Metal. I actually forgot. Earlier I promised Vanilla I would take Cream to Central City to meet with Amy. But with everything that we've just gone over, I would much rather focus on trying to help Shadow locate the Chaos Emeralds. But if you wouldn't mind, you could take her to Amy. You've been with her now, you know where she lives. Metal Sonic nods in response. Great! Okay, Cream, Metal's gonna take you to Amy on my behalf. Sorry about the mix-up. That's okay. And she looks to Metal Sonic again. I'm ready to go when you are. The two of them head out the door and begin their journey to Central City. Tails, meanwhile, returns to his computers. Hopefully nothing unusual occurs to them on their way there, otherwise I won't hear the end of it from Vanilla. Anyway, time to see if I can find a Chaos Emerald. But alas, we'll have to wait to see if Tails is successful or not, because this brings us to the end of the episode. Numerous parties are off moving in their own directions at the moment, but fate may bring them together next time. I hope you've been enjoying this series so far. If you have, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe down below, or share the video around to those you think may be interested. I hope you have a great day, and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor signing off.